The U.S. will join the Christchurch call to eliminate extremist content online. So basically, if you like having free speech online, I mean, it should have been obvious it was on the way out a long time ago with all the deplatforming. But now, once the U.S. government gets involved, yeah, that's pretty much the final nail in the coffin here. Stick to the dark web, stick to private invite-only communities, and outside of those private invite-only communities, don't bother saying anything. Like, really. Post the most milquetoast things if you can, but pretty much I'm at the point now where, like Twitter, for example, once the anime titties are banned, all I'm going to use Twitter for is to get announcements from a few creators I follow as to their newest projects. That's about it. So the idea was previously rejected by the Orange Man administration on free speech grounds. You guys got rid of Orange Man. Aren't you happy? Now you're going to lose the ability to say anything online. And when I see you guys crying about it, because, yeah, people like me, we're going to be the first ones to be kicked off and silenced. And you're going to cheer. And then you're going to be next. And you're going to be shrieking and saying, where's RGE? Isn't he supposed to be against this stuff? Well, first off, I'm already banned, so I'm not going to fucking... even if I wanted to, I couldn't help you. Second off, I'm not going to lift a finger to help the people who did this to me because, you know, you get what you deserve. And third, by the time that happens, I'll probably be in some private invite-only community that's way better without idiots like you in it. So, yeah, you're not going to see me helping your ass, okay? That's what's going to happen. All these lunatics that support censorship until it comes for them, you're on your own when they come for you. It's the same thing I say like with cancel culture. I think, you know, Stone Toss did a comic about that where you got this big boulder just rolling leftwards. So the entire right has been crushed under it and it's starting to get to the left. And then you got the moderate left guy like, hey, guys, I think we should do something about this. And the farther left guys are just like looking down their noses at him. The only way that comic could be better is if you saw on the other side, some on the right actually recovered and they're just like having a barbecue or something. And then the lefty that's about to be crushed is screaming to them for help. And they're just like, why would we help you? We've already been through this and we recovered. If you're any good, you'll recover too. What motivation do we have to help you? Yeah, like the old analogy I always use about fighting to uphold the front line, because if you let the front lines fall, you'll become the next front line. That stops applying once you've already been overrun and you're now behind enemy lines. If we have already been overrun and we're already living behind enemy lines and we learn to adapt and thrive behind enemy lines, we got no reason to help you. The same people that let us fall. Like, fuck you. I don't care what happens to you. And before you ask, no, you're not welcome in our behind enemy lines sanctuary. The doors are closed. In a departure from the policy of the previous administration, the United States has announced it has joined an initiative to bring about tighter policing of online content, launched in the wake of the March to current year -2 Christchurch, New Zealand mosque massacre. The initiative, known as the Christchurch Call to Action to Eliminate Terrorist and Violent Extremist Content Online, was unveiled in May of the same year, with New Zealand and France driving it. These guys just keep proving me right, don't they? This is one of the two go-to strategies they always use when they want to censor the internet. It's either think of the chillins or, oh my God, terrorism. So I think people have gotten sick and tired of the chillins being used as a weapon for the past few years. So now they're moving back to terrorism. Social media came under intense pressure from governments and regulators at the time, since the Australian who committed the crime live-streamed it on Facebook and was also active elsewhere online. Yeah, so he streamed it on Facebook, but it's 8chan that got taken down for it. Isn't that just fucking hilarious? It's like, oh, but he talked about it on 8chan. That den of extremism has to be shut down. Meanwhile, the whole thing was live streamed on Facebook. Nothing happened to Facebook, though. But 4chan gets taken. Gotta love these double standards. Oh my God. Or fucking Pornhub gets completely deplatformed because they may or may not have had a few cheese pizza videos there that they actually did take down when it was reported. But Twitter and Facebook are the world's biggest distributors of that content. Nothing happens to them. It's almost as if this is by design. It's like, oh, if you're not going to be on big tech, you're not going to be on the internet. In New Zealand and Australia, entire websites got blocked, with ISPs and telecommunications companies joining in the efforts to prevent internet users from accessing this content. Meanwhile, Facebook, where it actually originated, wasn't blocked at all. Those behind the Christchurch call believe the attack inspired others around the world to similar action, and their solution is to have governments and tech and social media companies come together in removing the content that they deem to be extremist. Oh yeah. Just like how video games, violent video games lead to violence, right? They inspire others around the world to similar action. You know, if you want to go down this rabbit hole, why didn't you put a stop to the violent rioting last year, the burn, loot, murder riots? You think that that might have inspired others to do the same when people worldwide were watching the fake news media and they were seeing these violent rioters having their way with whatever they want with no punishments? In Seattle and Oregon in particular, sometimes they were arrested 4 times in a single night and they just kept getting released. Imagine looking around your apartment and saying, yeah, I could use a new TV. Hey, if I go looting during this riot, nothing's going to happen to me. So before the U.S. joined, more than 50 other governments did the same, while Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google all supported the initiative. See this list? Big tech all supports this because they will get to decide what you see on the internet. This is the future, man. So remember how everything was booming since the creation of the internet? The economy in general was booming. Cultural exchange was booming. All this good stuff the internet brought us, with none of this, none of the stuff they fearmonger has come to pass. Violent crimes are actually going down in most of the first world. None of the stuff they fearmonger about has ever come to pass. But we have to give that all up because some Karen is scared. Once the internet is worldwide, is basically like what China has now. And let me bring that up again. How many years have I been saying this now? That the West is using China as a boogeyman? Oh, look at what China's doing to the internet. Aren't they evil? They have even worse plans in store for us than China does. The quote-unquote free world is going to lead to the demise of the internet, all while they're pointing at China and blaming them for it. So how long have I been saying this, that this was going to happen? The Harris administration move is not surprising, given that the State Department supported the Christchurch call in March, saying that it was encouraging tech companies to more strictly enforce their community standards and terms of service as a way to remove users seen as inciting violence. This may not be a bad thing, though. Might not be. Ultimately, what's going to happen is we're going to go back to how the internet was when it first came to be. I still remember, I am such an old boomer. I remember the internet before search engines. I remember where if you wanted to find a website, you either had to already know of its existence, or there was a few, like within each niche group, there was a few aggregator websites. So everyone found out about the aggregator website, and then you just went there to find like other similar things. We're just going to have to go back to that. Except, unlike back then, when everything was pretty much open and search engines can find everything, Now that we know that these cretins are gunning for our freedoms, we're going to be locked down. Everything is going to be in private invite-only groups. Our new gathering places are going to be about as searchable as your bank account information is. No one's going to even be able to see what's behind the other side of the login until they actually log in and go there. And while it may be harder for people to find things, that's going to be the one big casualty. But I think it's a necessary sacrifice. And I'm saying this as someone that if it wasn't for the internet, I wouldn't have been able to find a lot of the things I love right now. I never would have even come across it. And that's what we're robbing from future generations right now. Or rather, that's what the government is robbing from future generations. All the good stuff is going to go underground, and the only way anyone's ever going to be able to find it is if they know someone in real life that is in that group. And maybe after a few months, the other person's going to poke and prod a little bit to get a feel for you, and then they found out, oh, I think this guy may be a good fit in this group, and may shoot you an invite. But otherwise, yeah, just I've seen a lot of people right now wondering, like, for example, like, oh, where did all these lolly groups go that used to be around everywhere? It's like, oh, looks like the Puritans finally got them. No, they're still around. They just went underground. They know that they have no allies on the surface web whatsoever, so they just abandoned it. All the people making that content are still out there making it. All the people that want to consume it are still out there consuming it. They just cut the normies out. That's it. And that's what everyone is going to do. A statement issued now to announce the U.S. has formally joined the initiative mentions combating what's termed as domestic violent extremism as one of the current administration's priorities, and clearly cooperating with others who have signed the Christchurch call is seen as a way to help achieve this goal. Now, they're not going to do anything about the actual violent domestic terrorists known as Antifa and Burn, Loot, Murder. They're going to keep chasing the alt-right boogeyman, while the actual violent terrorists are going to be going unchecked. It's going to be just like Airstrip 1, where they're going after grannies for saying offensive things on Facebook while ignoring the rape gangs. Now, let's just forget that. Yeah, priorities. You could get into more trouble for offending one of the rape gangs than for participating in one of them in Airstrip 1. The State Department was careful to present its membership in the initiative as mindful of the importance of free expression, suggesting that the Christchurch call is not designed to restrict speech. Honestly, at this point, anyone stupid enough to believe this is going to get everything they fucking deserve when this gets implemented. In addition to enforcing rules on social networks more vigorously, the State Department would also like to see anti-extremist propaganda or credible alternative narratives promoted more heavily as another way to counter content the authorities disapprove of. Yeah. Big tech is basically an arm of the government now. It's fucking over. Actually, it's kind of the opposite. Big tech actually owns the government, which is why this is happening. They're censoring us hand in hand. So, you know how the U.S. points at China all the time? It's like, oh, look at what the Chinese government is doing to their internet. Here in the West, big tech is doing that on their own, and our government is just whistling, pretending they have nothing to do with it. It's like, what? No. We the government aren't doing it. That's all big tech that's censoring you and destroying the internet. We got nothing to do with it. Our hands are clean. Yeah, the West learned. They learned to pawn that responsibility off at someone else. Yeah, the government has their big tech cronies do the censorship, and then they can pretend their hands are clean. It's like, oh, it's only censorship if the government does it, guys. These private companies can do what they want. Could you imagine the moral grandstanding if it was revealed that the Chinese government was behind the scenes ordering their private companies to do these things and pretend it was all their own idea? I mean, it's only bad when other people do it, of course. That's the only explanation. Oh man, I am so excited to tell you guys right now that finally, after about a year of build-up and shilling, we have launched Blade Devil on Indiegogo, and so far it is doing so well thanks to awesome people like you. If you haven't backed it yet, then please check the links in the description and check out Blade Devil on Indiegogo. You will not be disappointed. Looking forward to seeing you there.